While I've learned a tremendous amount researching about this and writing this little lecture, knowledge, like food, is best when it is shared.
I have many times asked myself, not without wonder, the source of a certain error which, since it is committed by all the old without exception, can be believed to be proper and natural to man. Namely, that they nearly all praise the past and blame the present, revile our actions and behavior and everything which they themselves did not do when they were young, and affirm too that every good custom and way of life, every virtue, and in short all things imaginable, are always going from bad to worse. And truly it seems against all reason and a cause for astonishment that maturity of age, which with its long experience in all other respects usually perfects a man's judgment, in this matter corrupts it so much that he does not realize that if the world were always growing worse, and if fathers were generally better than their sons, we would long since have become so rotten that no further deterioration would be possible. This is written in 1526. So it seems that this has been going on a long time. That the older people come and say to the younger people, listen, there's some stuff that you've been doing that maybe you ought to think about, because in the old days we weren't that way. Everything was okay, but I said the same thing to people older than I was. So I'm going to try today, if I can, to impart to you some wisdom, if I have it, about living an okay life, a good enough life. I'm not going to the great one, I'm going to the good one. I'm going to the moral one, to the nice one, to the ethical one.
So here I am, and I ask myself, how do I talk about flourishing and living the good life? I have a feeling there's not a person on the planet who hasn't wished at one time or another that they could relive an experience, take another shot at getting it right. Well, that doesn't seem to be available to us in this lifetime. So maybe the closest thing we can do that is anything like that is listening to others. Listening to the mistakes they made, listening to their stories of victories, defeats, joys, and sorrows, and use their stories as a starting point to flourishing. But do we really learn from the experiences of others? I don't think so. Just my opinion. We can argue over it. We can argue it over coffee later if you want. I just don't think we listen hard enough. I don't think we try to see ourselves squarely in someone else's shoes and really try to understand why they made the life choices they made, how they ended up the person they became. Now let's change that question to, can we learn from the experience of others? I would say, of course. But I think it takes a lot of persistence and determination to do it. I think it takes an extraordinary person and an extraordinary effort to do so. So why am I saying this? I would challenge you to do something extraordinary today. Listen to the experiences I'm going to share and really get inside them. See yourself in the shoes of the people I talk about and wonder what you would have done with some of the same challenges. It is my sincere hope that doing that will allow you to create a platform much higher than the one I started with, and I hope it will lead you to flourish in ways you never imagined.
Anytime people ask me, what should I do to make a difference? I always tell them the same thing. You need to be supererogatory. Supererogation. What is supererogation? It means doing more than is required. Going beyond what is asked of you. Going beyond what is your duty. Going beyond the expectation. If you're going to help someone with 2 packages, take 4. If you're going to give 1 hour of your time, give 3. And when you do that, what you do is you say to other people, I am willing to go beyond what is expected of me. And the response to supererogation in our culture is absolutely positive to the highest degree. If you want to make an impact in this world, be supererogatory.
It's all in your point of view. I have always believed, and I still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value. Hermann Hesse, one of the great authors that everybody my age read.
There is little controversy also to the notion that to be human is to be social, and a constant, incessant, and unreflective pursuit of pleasure is a direct threat to our humanity. Who is the happy warrior? Who is he? 'Tis he whose law is reason, who depends upon that law as one, the best friend. Whence, in a state where men are tempted still to evil for a regard against worst ill, and what quality or act is best, doth seldom on the right foundation rest. He labors good on good to fix, and owes to virtue every triumph that he knows. Wordsworth's happy warrior is happy not because she maximized her pleasure, but because her life activities are in accordance with the virtues of reason, honesty, and sacrifice. The truth is that the life of the warrior is a painful one. It is at times extremely lonely. It means fighting for a cause that at times few others support. It means speaking up when there is safety in silence. It means accepting the vulnerability that comes with challenging our friends and loved ones when they are on the wrong side of justice.
There is this guy, this playwright, who says that this young generation are pancake people. Some of you heard me tell you about this. Pancake people. What does pancake people mean? It means that you're spread very, very thin, but you're pretty wide. You have access to more knowledge than any other generation instantaneously. You can just look up anything you want, and it's there. But it's sort of like having a giant external hard drive. All the information is carried outside of you. There's no question that you can have access to it immediately. But in terms of what we know about creativity and coming up with ideas that have never been thought of before and making connections that have never been made before, the same information has to be inside the same place at the same time, and the internet will not give you that kind of thought. It'll make combinations, but it won't come up with saying something like, my rye bread sandwich has mold on it. Maybe there's something in there that the crumbs killed the bacteria. Maybe I've invented an antibiotic, which saved more lives than you can imagine. Might not have been in a pancake, but it would have been in a muffin. The muffin. This is my goal for all of you, is that you remain with the muffin top. I think it's fine. It's broad, it's all-encompassing, but underneath the muffin top there must be depth. Somewhere there has to be depth. You have to fill your mind with as many bits of information as possible, not knowing their purpose, not knowing their usefulness, ultimate usefulness. You simply have to learn as much as you can so that you have this muffin, and your muffin is unlike anybody else's. Because the muffin top is just like everybody else's. If they've got Google and put in the same two search terms, but there it is. Everybody's the same. But if the muffin is called into play, they all vary. So what you need to be is a well-nourished, sociable, resilient, internally controlled, friendly, physically fit, ethical, moral and spiritually anchored muffin. And you'll be proud on that day you graduate when you sit there among all your fellow muffins. And realize that you've spent your 4 years at Emory baking yourself into muffindom. And at that point, I think you'll be on your way to wellness. So I thank you.